Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singers, songwriters, and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest has been described as follows. Some voices are definitely best suited for specific genres, but a voice like Steven Taetz can handle it all. With swagger and slicker attitude, the revivalist crooner settles elegantly beneath this vintage Nashville groove. Well, let's hear what Steven has to say about these comments. And let's spill the tea with Steven Taetz. Welcome, Steven.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, Steven, those are some pretty nice reviews that you had. How do you feel about those comments? Does that fit in with your genre?
Yeah, I think it's pretty accurate. I love to paint with all the colors you can paint with to make some of my material stand out. And I like that they've mentioned that there's different areas where I've recorded and written. So yeah, pretty accurate.
What genre do you fit into? Like, where are you most comfortable writing and performing?
I would say the newer material that I've been working on calls back to my earlier material as well. I've been working mostly in contemporary roots. So some people might know it as Americana or folk pop, that sort of acoustic, popular singer-songwriter kind of genre. I really, the material of Brandy Carlisle and Roy Orbison and those sorts of I would say big voices with really beautiful swooping melody lines and Nashville type songwriting is where I'd like to focus in on my sound.
You when we talk about that Nashville groove, is that what you're describing there? Is that what the Roy Orbison style is about? Because he definitely had a style.
Yeah, the melody line is really of equal importance, I think, in his material as the writing. I think the Nashville, reference to Nashville, I would say, surely country elements, but also that the story at the heart of the song is really primary, where you're telling a story, not only trying to make words rhyme and make a hook, but also make people feel something as they're listening.
How was that process for you? Do you start with a hook and then build around it? Do you wake up in the middle of the night with an idea? Do you go soul searching when you start to write music? How do you work on a song?
I would say my approach to songwriting is kind of like what I understand the Brill building was, where Carole King or Barry Manilow or I would say like Neil Diamond, their style of songwriting was both prolific. I won't aspire to I'm as prolific as they are, but they would write constantly and write with an idea in mind. Where, let's say we want to write a song about cleaning products. So we're going to just come up with a whole list of ideas that relate to cleaning products. And then as you're coming up with lyrical ideas, the language kind of leads where the rhythm will go. You don't want to sing something too off kilter with how you would actually speak it.
Right.
And that sort of rhythm might inspire where the melody might go. I know a lot of people do the opposite, where it's like the Beatles writing, what's the popular story where scrambled eggs becomes yesterday or whatever the lyric was. I really like to play off of a central idea, which is a lyrical idea, and then see where it goes.
Is there a musical talent that you believe that you can improve upon?
I'm so envious of people that can play and sing at the same time. And I know that's for a lot of people, that's just a basic for as singer-songwriters, a singer who plays guitar or plays piano. And I'm just so not coordinated. So I think I need to get down to it and sit down and practice my piano and learn how to play the guitar. But I think in terms of writing, I've really loved collaborating with folks, and I'm pushing myself to write on my own, not necessarily just to tell my story as a song, but to better be able to start and finish a song where I've written it myself. And although it's so much fun to work with other people and get their style and input and collaborate.
You mentioned that you were on stage with Alison Krauss and that you're opening for Blue Rodeo. I'm going to go out on a limb and say these things don't happen overnight. How do you make these opportunities happen?
Yeah, the funny thing, I've just been nominated for the Canadian Folk Music Award Emerging Artist of the Year, and the other nominees are easily the age that my children would be if I just had children. And I've been writing for about, let's say, 20 years or so, and releasing material. So emerging is pretty generous, and I appreciate it. But yeah, I think it's always important to reevaluate what you're doing, and yeah, I'm not sure I'm answering your question clearly enough, but it's always.
Well, I think partly you've answered it. 20 years in the business, it's a lot of damn hard work, and putting in the hours and putting in the time and getting on stage and talking to people. It's a lot of work that now has started to pay off for you.
Yeah, and overnight success. I don't think I would wish that on anyone, because as I say, an artist takes time to realize what their vision will be, and I'm certainly, that changes every day, and hopefully you're fine tuning what your sound and what your interests are, and just like any person too. I think, Bob Dylan changed his sound throughout his career, and you think of all these classic artists, even pop artists, Lady Gaga will go through, or Beyonce releasing the country album, and just trying to explore different sounds and work on things that are different, so they keep themselves interested, let alone their audience.
Well, let's get into one of the songs that you wrote. This song, it's called "Only the Night Knows." It was released in February of 2023 as the third single from your latest album, Late Bloom. Co-written virtually during the pandemic with Emily, a Canadian songwriter living in Nashville. This song is about love that is hidden away from the world, a torch song ballad with a neo-soul vibe inspired by classic Roy Orbison. Lots of stuff there for us to unwrap when we get back. So let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Steven Taetz and his song, Only the Night Knows.
If the stars could talk, what a story they would tell. If the moon could see, he'd know how we really felt. 'Cause we only touch when the sun goes down, when the lights go out, we show when only the night knows. Our sweetest secret, our favorite weakness, only the night knows. What we've been hiding, what we've been fighting, will be safe and sound. When all the world's asleep, when there's no one around, we're living in a dream. We only kiss when the shadows when we're finally all alone, when only the night knows our sweetest secret, our favorite weakness. Only the night knows what we've been hiding, what we've been fighting. Only the night only the night knows our sweetest secret, our favorite weakness.
That was Only the Night Knows by Steven Taetz. Steven, what was the inspiration behind that song? And there's so many things that we need to unwrap about the description of that song, but what were you feeling?
I was really inspired by it's a strange tangent, but I was inspired by forbidden songs and this storyline that I heard where during the 40s, 50s, 60s in communist countries, there was a lot of situations where the government was banning music. And in Russia, they circulated this forbidden music on X-rays that they had imprinted music on. And they would pass around X-rays where it was pretty like not obvious that you could throw that on the record player and the Beatles or someone else would be playing. And so this idea of forbidden music and as a queer person, also the fact that there's a lot of banning in the US and other countries where queer artists and artists that are on the periphery of society often are not able to practice their craft. So we wanted to start from the idea of what is that forbidden storyline? What is this, popular music song that on second look, on second listen, you can maybe understand that storyline a little deeper. And I was really loving the idea of a throwback song with some 50s, 60s kind of production. So Drew Jureka and I, the producer, he created this big orchestral score, and Emily and I wanted to write a song that had that Roy Orbison kind of swooping melody line.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you talk about Roy Orbison, I mean, I love it. Love his music. I love to watch him perform. The falsetto that he works with is just off the charts. When I read about this, the song and having it described as a torch song ballad, I don't know what does that term mean? I've never heard that before.
So ballad meaning just a slower song that's often from a person's perspective about love or loss, and a torch song is like a heartbreak song where sometimes the other person has gone off to cheat, or a person has lost their loved one, and it's a sad song. I guess in this way, the song is kind of bittersweet, where it's a love song, but something about it is a little bit unrequited or unable to be realized.
When you're in that creative phase, and we'll talk specifically about Late Bloom, about the title of the album. And I know when I've been in creative process with radio shows or TV shows, we start with a working title and we say, yeah, well, let's call it this. And they say, well, I don't really like that. It's just the working title. And you say it so often, over and over and over again. And all of a sudden, the working title becomes the title of what you're actually producing. Does that happen with singer-songwriters as well? Do you just tap something with a working title and then all of a sudden, yeah, well, that sounds pretty good.
That is a tough part about naming an album or a project or anything, is how can it stand out and how can it represent all of the project, where it might be just a phrase or word or phrase that encapsulates everything. Uh, and quite honestly, yeah, working titles for this project, it could have been Only the Night Knows, or another single, Making Room. And I think there's something to brevity in terms of artwork design. What's going to fit? There's that Fiona Apple project where she had basically a whole book on her album cover as the title. And what song title is going to capture what the whole project is? I think Late Bloom, as soon as you say bloom, there's some sort of visual element associated with it. So I really liked that. And it also, on the topic of emerging over such a long period, I think that kind of tied in well, where I felt this project captured my sound that I wanted it to at this moment. Yeah. But I think that, it's the fun part about being a creative with anything. How do you name a painting where it's, a blob on a canvas? That's the fun part about trying to sum it up in a word or phrase.
Now, Steven, you've got a lot of stuff coming up in the future. How do people find out about you and your music and where you're going to be? What's the website, socials? How do they stay in touch?
On Instagram, which I update the most, and it feeds into my website, my handle's Steven with a V and last name Taetz. And then same, StevenTaetz.com is the website. Facebook, the same.
We have been in conversation with Steven Taetz. Steven, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.